Which of these three all-in-one lenses should you get? We got the 20-70 f4, we got the 24-70 GM Mark II, and the 24-105 f4. Now these three lenses do have a lot of similarities, but they also have quite a bit of differences. The biggest one obviously being the focal range that you have between these three. The 24-70 is the most common all-in-one lens that people pick up, whether it's the Sony one, whether it's the Sigma one. That is the most popular choice for most people. But Sony has now brought out the 20-70, which I've just done a review on, and you can watch that up here. And then the classic 24-105, which is 35 mils more and can be pretty useful. And this also has OSS built in, which these two do not have. So if you look from the top angle there, you can actually see that the 24-70 is actually the biggest of these when it's compressed. If we zoom them all out, you'll see that that quickly changes and we have a new biggest lens. Not by a lot, but it's now the 24-105, which I would expect because it can zoom the furthest. Now, if you're just looking for the lens that's going to be able to give you the most range from 24-105, simply put, that is the way to go. That is the sensible choice for you. But not everyone needs that extra reach to 105, and I would actually argue that 20 can be a little bit more versatile, or you can go a little bit wider. So what is the actual physical difference in terms of looks between 24 and 20? Well, right now we're actually at 20 on the 20-70, and we'll jump into 24 so you can see what the difference looks like in this kind of scenario. And now we're at 24. Haven't moved anything, haven't changed where I'm sat or anything like that. That is the difference between 20 and 24. Same test again, just with me a little bit closer to the lens here, this time at 20 mil, and now we'll jump into 24 mil. I haven't moved again, but now we are at 24 mil. That's your 24, that's your 20. 24, 20. It's not a huge difference, but it's enough if you were in a landscape or a tight situation, you just need a little bit extra reach, but it gives it to you. Thank you to Artlist for sponsoring this video. Now, I've been using Artlist for music in my videos the past little while. The way I build a video edit is often based around the music. So I'll find the music first to set the tone and the vibe of the video, and then kind of edit around that. And I'll spend a very long time normally searching for that music. With Artlist, I do tend to find that I find things a little bit quicker than I normally would have. As an example, I'm editing a video right now. I wanted that like rock style, fast-paced intro. So I actually end up just searching indie rock fast, and it came up with a few options. No, it doesn't have enough of an intro. It's okay. And then I found that's exactly what I was looking for.
Pretty big blast.
The mountains are right there.
Cloud line over there.
But I know after that intro, it is going to slow down in pace, and I want like this road trip feeling for the video. So if we search indie road trip, let's just click some random ones here so we can find. It just does a really good job at getting you to the music that I would normally spend a lot longer trying to find. I think if you're a content creator, someone that makes videos, you'll probably find this quite helpful as well. Artlist does have different plans to cover you depending on the kind of content that you're making. There is also different licenses that will cover you depending on who you're delivering that content to, or if it's just for yourself. This way you can kind of pick a plan that tailors more specifically to you, and you're not just paying unnecessarily for things you don't need. I like it, and I think you might like it as well. If you want to try it out, if you click on the link down below, you actually get 2 months free when you buy any annual plan. Thank you, Artlist, for sponsoring today's video. Now, I know a really big one that people are going to be thinking about, especially with this new lens here, the 20-70 and the 24-105, is these are both f4, and the 24-70s from Sony are f2.8. So you get that extra low light ability, you get that extra bokeh in the background there, the separation, the depth of field. But what is the actual difference if you were to look at it in some practical scenarios between f2.8 and f4? This is me at f2.8. Same thing again, but now at f4. And the depth of field is going to be even more obvious at 70 mil. Now we're at 70 mil f2.8. And now we're at f4, 70 mils. Now, I think with Sony cameras nowadays, with the low light abilities of the FX3, the A7S III, pretty much any of the Sony cameras, f4 versus f2.8, if purely looking at it from a low light standpoint, doesn't really matter because you have such high base second ISOs that you can go to. So it's really not a problem. It's more so if you can deal with basically the looks. And one thing that the 24-105 has going for it that neither of these two lenses has is OSS. Since the A7 III, I believe, we have active Steadyshot built into the cameras, which really does help, and it kind of negates the need for having OSS built into the lens. Especially with the A7R5, Sony's latest camera at the time of making this video, the active stabilization has been improved, and it's even better than anything we've ever had before. But prior to that, OSS was really important, and if you have something like a 70-200 or a 200-600, OSS still really is important, because active isn't going to do as much as this potentially can when you're zoomed right in there. So I think this going to 105 is really the main reason that this has OSS built into it, and we don't really see it or have a need for it at 70 with each of these lenses. So if you have an older Sony camera or a cinema camera like the FX6, OSS into a lens might actually be really handy for you, because you have no active stabilization. So that's where you might actually just be looking at that lens and neither of these two options, because you need that OSS, and those aren't even something you would consider. That's the one you're going to want to pick. Let's take a look at how OSS compares with not having OSS, and then how OSS compares to active Steadyshot.
This is the 24-105 at 70mm with the OSS on the lens turned on. Now let's turn it off, and you'll just see immediately there I haven't moved. It's just those little shakes now that you get, those micro shakes. Then back on one more time. Now it's on. Same test now with a 20-70, again at 70. On the A7 IV, this is with the active stabilization turned on. There's no OSS built directly into the lens. And then this is the same test at 70 with the 20-70 with the active stabilization turned off.
Now again, I'm not here to tell you what OSS is better than active Steadyshot. It's purely, if you're looking at a lens and this is the body you have, which one is going to work better for you? By giving you these examples, hopefully that allows you to make that decision. Now, more so for photo than anything else, but you're probably going to be interested in the sharpness. So I did a couple of shots at f4, at f8, both at 24 on all these lenses, and then again at 50. And let's jump into Lightroom on the computer and compare and see how they all look. Okay, so we've got every lens at 24mm, again at 50mm, f4 and f8. All lens corrections are turned off for everything, just because I don't have the ones for the 20-70 at the time of making this video. So to keep it fair, everything is turned off. So let's go 24-70, 24mm f4 on the left. And then we'll do the 20-70, 24mm f4 on the right. Okay. Interestingly, 24 appears different on both, but that does happen. Let's go into the middle of the 24-70 at f4. And now the same thing on the 20-70 f4. This is a little bit more zoomed out, but you can still tell. I mean, this looks a little bit sharper. The lines look more defined to me. Let's try a corner. This looks nicer in the corner, for sure. Typical G Master example there. So let's throw the 24-105 f4 on the right. So in the corner of the 24-105, yeah, there's some issues there. Not as sharp. Chromatic aberration around the edges there. You can see where the white meets the black. So definitely evident that that's an older lens. So let's go 20-70 f8 on the left and 24-105 50mm f8 on the right. So let's go right to the middle. In the middle there. This is definitely sharper. Look at the lines. They're way more defined. You can almost see the pixels on there. So let's try the bottom right corner of the 24-105 f8 and then bottom right corner of the 20-70 f8. Interesting, this looks a little bit sharper. Okay, so 24-105 24mm f8 on the right, and then 24-70 24mm f8 on the left. So zoom right into the middle. This is more defined. Let's do the left-hand side right here. Much nicer here. Exactly what I'd expect out of a G Master. Let's do 20-70 50mm f4 on the left, and then, well, no, put that on the right, and then we'll do 24-70 50mm f4 on the left. So put that there, put that there. Look in the middle. This is sharper. That's very strange. I think it's just because it's at f4. If we go up to f8, yeah, now this appears sharper. So Just a few examples there to show you. Now, focus breathing is something that's going to be very important if you're shooting video, and that is where it looks like the lens is zooming in and out ever so slightly as you focus on something in the foreground and then go back to the background. It can be pretty distracting and jarring, and that's why it's not really a thing that people want when it comes to video. If you use the A7 IV or the A7 R5, you actually have focus breathing compensation, and paired with these will work very well. You'll have next to no focus breathing. Not so much with this because it's Sony's older glass, but if you have a body that doesn't have focus breathing compensation, let's look at how each of these performs in the same situation. So first things first, we're going to fill the frame by zooming in to 70mm with the 24-70 first, and then look around the edges here and here to see how it handles the focus breathing. So we'll tap on the Game Boy and then back on the FX6, back on the Game Boy, and then back on the FX6. So we're at F4 again. We'll zoom in to 70 there. Now we're on the 24-105. And again, look at the edges as we tap on the Game Boy and then tap on the FX6. On the Game Boy and on the FX6. 20-70 now, we're at 20. It's a little bit wider, but we'll zoom in to 70. Again, F4. And look at the edges again. Tap on the Game Boy, tap on the FX6. On the Game Boy, on the FX6. Autofocus for video. I did some tests and I'll slap them on the screen in a second for you to see, but you can't go wrong with any of these. If you have one of Sony's newer bodies, the autofocus is impeccable. The eye tracking is fantastic. The fact that you can manually override now to go into manual focus mode, autofocus assist, I believe it's called. They all do it really, really well, but if you want to just see same situation, eye tracking with me covering my face and then removing, again, how it handles, I'll show you that right now. And these are the autofocus settings that I'm using for this example. So firstly, we have the 24-70 GM MKII. And now we have the 24-105, again at 24. And then now we have the 20-70 F4. I mean, I'm going to look at my results after to see exactly what I think and then be able to compare them side by side, but just looking at the Ninja here as I'm recording, it looks identical. I don't think you're going to look at one of these lenses and go, that one is a lot worse than the other one. It's Sony autofocus. All lenses now with the newer bodies just do a really phenomenal job of autofocus, specifically eye tracking, face detection, that kind of thing. Now, when it does come to the bokeh that each of these lenses has, something you're going to be getting that is the premium in the G Master is more blades. So your bokeh is going to render rounder and just look nicer. And it's because you get 11 blades in the 24-70 G Master Mark II and then 9 blades in both of these. So if you're just looking for like the best looking bokeh, that one right there. That's not to say these don't look good, because they do. It's just if you want the best, then you got to pay the most, and that's it. When it comes to price, that's where things start to become a bit more separated. This is obviously a G Master. It's Sony's best of the best that they offer. This is a lot more money than these two, nearly double in fact. $22.95 US for the G Master Mark II. If you want Mark I, you can get it a lot cheaper right now, but it's older tech, so arguably you might not want to do that, but your choice. Don't have the official price of the 20-70 yet. It's technically under embargo. I'll slap it on the screen right here for you because I should have it by the time this video is made and uploaded. But the embargo price I was told was $10.99 to $12.99. 24-105 is $12.98, but this frequently goes on sale and you can get it 24-105 is $12.98, but this frequently goes on sale. You can also get it really cheap used if you want to, because it is a bit of an older lens. Now, in terms of physical weight, so if you're wondering for balancing on a gimbal or something like that, these two are very similar. 24-105 is 663 grams and the 24-70 is 695 grams. So these two are very similar, and if you kind of hold them in the hand there, you really can't tell that 30-gram difference between the two. Now, the 20-70, part of its appeal is the fact that it's small, offers that wider focal range, but also it's very, very light. This is coming in at 488 grams, so nearly 200 grams different compared to these two. That's like a third less weight. And you can definitely feel it in the hand when you put them in both hands and hold them side by side. The closest of these which you can focus with is actually the 20 to 70, 0.25 meters, so 25 to centimeters. It's written right on the front of the lens just there. Then the 24 to 70 is actually on the side. 0.3 meters is the minimum focus distance. That's at 24, so that'll be 30 centimeters. And then this is a little bit larger at 0.38 meters, so 38 centimeters. That's again at 24. So if you're looking for the lens that can be closest to your subject, it's the 20 to 70. In terms of screwing on filters on the front there, we have a 72mm thread, we've got a 77mm thread, and then my favorite is the 82mm, just because I buy all my filters at 82mm, so they fit to everything. But if you have 82mm filters, you can just go down with step-up rings, put one of these on the front there, and then that allows you to mount a different size filter. When we look at the actual designs of these lenses, especially with the newer 20 to 70 and the 24 to 70 G Master Mark II, they look very similar. Even though this is a G Master and this is just a G lens, they look very similar. Like if you look at the top-down angle there, there's not a lot of difference other than that being orange and that being black. I'm sure there's some design differences in terms of the materials used, but just looking at them, holding them in the hand, they look and feel very similar. A little bit different on the 24 to 105. It's not bad by any means, but it doesn't have some of the same features that these two have. Zoom rings is all on the back for all of them. Focus rings are all on the front. The focus ring on this is quite a bit looser than the focus ring on these two. This actually has the linear focus motor, I think they call it, or something like that, where it feels more like a non-focus by wire lens. So that's going to be the nicest if you need to use it in terms of manual focus. The 24 to 70 obviously have the switch on the side there, so you can choose between smooth and tight. This is pretty tight though. This feels much like the tight does on the 24 to 70, and this is quite a bit looser, but not bad by any means. You have two buttons on both of these lenses here that you can assign to whatever you want. I typically use one for a focus hold and then maybe for a manual focus autofocus switch, just because it's easier than actually flicking that little switch on there. But you do have the switch on both of those two, and you actually have the switch on this one as well. So if you are concerned with having an autofocus, manual focus switch, all three have them. This obviously has one extra switch on there as well for the optical Steadyshot, which you can turn on and off on the lens itself. Now it's important to note, if you turn this off, you can't use active stabilization on the camera's body. It's either on and it all works, or just off. So that's something that you should note. Something else you don't get with this lens, which you get with these two, is an aperture ring. So you can't control it physically on the lens itself. You have to set a dial or a button on the camera to change that aperture. Now, because you don't have the aperture ring, you also don't have the declicktability, which both of these do, which is really useful for video. You also don't have that aperture or iris lock, which allows you to lock it into, where is it? Iris lock, just there. You can lock it into A, and then it doesn't come out, and then you just control it on the camera if that's something you like to do. But these two, in terms of features, have everything you could possibly want out of a camera lens, whereas this is lacking a bit, other than the fact that it has OSS. The features on this, the size, the weight, the fact that it has the aperture ring on there and it can be declicked, that was one of the big reasons that I upgraded to this from the Sigma 24 to 70. So if you like features on a lens and you want a 24 to 70, that is your best bet. So which one of these lenses should you be buying and why? Well, that's a very hard question for me to answer, because it's all based off of your specific situations, what you're using this lens for. And that is the whole purpose of this video. Hopefully by this point you can be like, you know what, that's the lens for me, or that's the lens for me, based off of everything that we've talked about. I can't tell you this is the best lens for real estate or for landscape, because you might find 20 is better for you. You prefer the 20mm look over a 24mm look for those, or if you're in real estate and you're shooting a really tight room, 24 might not be enough. So you'll know better than anyone else which lens is going to be better for you, and hopefully I've helped you make that decision by the end of this video. That is all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Take care.